Farming Simulator is a game that has grown in complexity and sophistication with each new installment. Farming Simulator 22 has so many game activities, it is very complex and can be daunting. Because of this, your initial experience is not only of being overwhelmed, but can be frustrating to a point that the game is not fun anymore very easily. Especially if you are new to Farming Simulator. Even for seasoned Farming Simulator 19 game players, Farming Simulator 22 is a different story. So here are my top 10 tips to get you started in Farming Simulator 22 or in any Farming Simulator version on any platform actually. This is universally applicable, so perhaps I should call this my 2023 version of the top 10 tips for beginners on Farming Simulator, period. I'm not claiming that this is the ultimate list and all other opinions are wrong. This is my list, my suggestions, my opinions. I have over 3,000 hours of Farming Simulator game time, PC-based, in the last 5 versions. Take it as a guide and under advisement. Top 10 tips for beginners. When starting a new game, use new farmer mode. This is tip number 1. In Farming Simulator 22, it even tells you that this is the easy mode. It is the easiest mode as you start out with a basic working farm with land and equipment and some money in the bank. This brings us to number 2. Start on a base game map. Farming Simulator 22, the base game maps are Elm Creek or Baylor. The other maps that are available are downloadable content, so they are already advanced maps. Don't use them. Start with the base game maps. Check out your version of Farming Simulator on your platform and use the base game maps to start with. Keep it simple. Stay with base game. Another reason will be what we're going to be coming to as tip number 4. But first, tip number 3. Do not use mods when starting out. Even deactivate DLCs. So deselect them all, stay with base game, nothing else. Every additional part adds complexity and potential source of errors. Keep it as simple, as basic as possible for the first few games. There is enough to learn, it will be intense enough. We'll get to the mods in due time. Learn to walk before you run. Learn the base game before you change it up. And tip number 4, take the basic tour. These are typically available either on the first or on all base game maps. That depends on the version of Farming Simulator that you're playing. It does not take long to go through this tour. Create your character and then it's actually asking you a short guided tour. Take it. It takes a few minutes, but it's potentially or most likely going to be saving you hours of trial and error. And this is only in the bare bone basics it is going through. I'm not going through the tour, you don't need to watch me doing that. After you have gone through the tour, we're getting to tip number 5. Let's go in our game settings. That is the one that we need for tip number 5. Simplify more. What this means, we are going to be turning off everything that adds complexity. We are reducing the game down to absolute minimum. This means seasons off. Crop destruction off. Snow off. Fieldstone off. Lime required off. Weeds off. You can use automatic engine start, that is fine, that is fine, that is fine. You all can keep this. But turn these off and turn your seasons and snow off. Also, you actually want to consider turning traffic off. There is vehicles on the roads at times, so if you're going further into the map and the vehicles are getting in your way, you can turn off here. Make it as simple as possible. And with this, tip number 6. Sell everything that you don't need. So, in this game, in the base games, when you're starting out on easy, you typically are set up for the basic crops. You have a seeder, you have a cultivator, you have a harvester. You have a silo. You will need a silo to store your crops. What you don't need, and we simply can go into construction mode. We don't need a bunker silo. We're not going to be making silage. Sell it. We're not going to be keeping hay or straw around in the basic. We don't have a way to collect it. We don't need it. Sell it. We started out with $100,000. We don't need a shelter. Sell it. Theoretically, you even could go and actually sell your farmhouse. That brings you $175,000, but then you don't have a place to actually sleep. So let's keep that. And we have our silo. We keep that. Now, as for the equipment, you can go into the shop with P, and then you go onto your garage, and then you actually see what you are owning. You have a couple tractors, you have a cultivator, you have a harvester and a header trailer, seeder, weights, and a trailer. This is all basic equipment that you actually need for your base crops. You don't need this car. So what you actually want to do is drive it down to the shop and sell it, because you're actually getting more if you're driving it to the shop. So let's see where the shop is. Our farm is here. There's your shop. There's your vehicle shop. You just can click on it, and then it tells you where you are. So there's your farmhouse. There's also a water tank. We can sell the water tank because we're not going to be doing animals, so we don't need the water tank. So we also can sell that actually. And just with that, we started with $100,000. We are already at 150, and with this truck we're probably getting another 30, 40. So we are close to $200,000. We nearly doubled our money without doing anything other than cleaning up a little bit. This is tip number 6. Sell what you don't need. And the lucky number 7. Start with basic crops. So right on here, this was wheat. Start with the basic crops. This is the equipment that you have on these basic farms when you're starting with easy farming. you have the equipment for the basic crops. Let's see. So the basic crops that you have the equipment for is wheat, barley, oat, canola, sorghum, soybeans. Keep the rest out of it for now. We don't need to do grapes, olives, sunflowers, corn, potatoes, sugar beet, or cotton, or sugar cane. We don't need to go there. We're not going to be looking for wood chips. We're not going to be doing silage, or wood, or grass, or hay. We're not going there yet. Keep it simple, keep it with the base crops, and work with those. You have the equipment for it, and stay with it. The moment you are going with additional crops, it's a complete set of new equipment. It's just a complete new layer of complexity that is getting added, and a lot of cost, a lot of equipment to learn. Master the basics first. I'll leave the additional stuff for a later time. Number 8, more money advice. You can actually go in here and take out loans. Loans are available to you. For the beginning, try not to take out loans. It's very easy to take out a lot of loans and have an enormous interest payment that goes out of your bank every day or every month, every cycle that you're going through. It goes out of your bank account. It reduces what you're making. Don't take out loans. Don't pay interest. Work with what you have. Number 9 should be self-explanatory. Know what you are buying. Buying and selling equipment always shafts you on money. So if we're going into a shop, let's go into the shop and actually go to our harvester. So this harvester costs $129,500. That is the harvester that we own. If we're going into our garage and select that, we can sell it with zero usage for $103,000. So we just lost $26,000 by owning it. There is no hours on it, there is no use on it, there is no duration on it, nothing. On buying equipment and selling it, you are losing 25% of your money, just like that. So know what you buy before you buy it and why you are buying it. Number 10, allow yourself the time. Don't go too big too fast. In this game, once you start going bigger with one thing, you need to level up to the next class with many things. Example in point. Let's go into the shop. Let's go to cultivators. We right now have this small cultivator. You need a 90 horsepower tractor. That is fine. It's going 2.5 meters. This one here is 4 meters. This one here is 5 meters. Takes a 180 horsepower tractor. We're going one class bigger. It's still a 5 meter. We are 225. Let's go to 8 meters. We need a 320 horsepower tractor. Also the cultivator, we are close to $50,000 instead of $12,000. It's 4 times the money for this cultivator. And we need a much larger tractor. So let's see, 320 horsepower tractor. Nope. 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 We are getting there. Nope. We were in medium tractors. We need to go to large tractors. What do we have? There you go. We're getting there. So let's have a look at this tractor. We need 296. Nope. 326 horsepower. We just are barely there. And this tractor costs $300,000. So to go to this next class of cultivator, it costs you, just for the cultivator, $350,000 to go there. Just like that, to go one class up. So keep the equipment that you have, use the equipment that you have. You're starting out with 3 tractors and a harvester. Push those to the limits, to the absolute limits. Once you are actually getting really good at with organizing it and looking a little bit ahead on how to approach things and when to do things and how to set things up that they are working nicely and smoothly, it's going to be astonishing how far you actually can get with this equipment, how much land you actually can cultivate with it and work with it. So this is the path that you want to go. Push the equipment to the limits, and only once you are really not able anymore to get completely around to get everything done, then start upgrading the equipment. As a point of demonstration, check out my Old Man's Land gameplay, especially the year 2. And there you actually can see how far I'm pushing the equipment. It's small tractors that I'm using there. It's not this big tractors. It's smaller tractors than those that I'm using there. In fact, I can show you which tractor it is that is being used on that gameplay. It's this one here. This is the tractor that I'm using there. And I am working on extremely large fields for the equipment. And it's doable. So push it there, and you're going to be making a lot of money because you're actually using the equipment that you have, that you already paid for, and you're maximizing the output of it. You're pushing it to the limits. Once you're there, and it's just not enough anymore, then you upgrade. What would be the top 10 without number 11? Do contract work. Borrow the items. Start with the basic crops. So this here is a field. It needs fertilizing. Then here is harvesting. This is very equivalent or very similar to the equipment that you actually have. This one also. This one here is different equipment. Do contract work. Borrow the items. Yes, it reduces your reward, but you get to use and experiment with different equipment on somebody else's dime. They are paying you for learning. You are experimenting, you are experiencing, you are trying out equipment in real-world settings, really trying it out, how it actually performs, how it works, how it feels, how you like it. And somebody is paying you for it. Do contract work. Stay with the basic crops. Once you have the complete hang on the basic crops, then look for something different. Usually there might be transport contract work. There might be baling or something like that. Once you have down the basic crops, then go for the other stuff. With contract work, again, you are being paid to learn using their equipment, no cost to you, to learn how the mechanics work, how the game works, how this gameplay works, how this activity works. Use it. And tip number 12, hold off on animals. Animals add a complete different workflow and layers of complexity to the gameplay. For the beginning, this is simply biting off more than you can chew. Animals also require a lot of planning and having a lot of dependency on your other gameplay. So make sure you have the basics down before you add animals. And last but not least, tip number 13. Watch tutorial videos. A couple minutes looking something up and informing yourself saves you hours of trying out and getting frustrated. Even when you think you know something, just getting someone else's perspective might, or most likely actually will, open up your gameplay to a different approach. I trust that this video was of help for you. Now go playing and come back once you're hungering for more information. This is Savi's Farm with the top 10, 11, 12, 13. What a mess. This is Savi's Farm with the 2023 version of the top tips on how to get started playing Farming Simulator on any platform. Peace.